We're being joined all the way from Yaoundé by Murum Divine. He's the Managing Director of Africa Sports Management. Murum, thank you so much for joining us tonight on Game On. What is going on in Cameroon? I don't get it. You have to help us unpack this. But firstly, let me start by asking, were you surprised that Samuel Eto'o was re-elected despite everything that has happened in Cameroonian football over the last 4 years? A failure to qualify for the FIFA World Cup in what seemed like an easy group. The inability of the Lionesses to also qualify for the Women's Africa Cup of Nations twice. They were just sneaked in through the back door after CAF expanded the tournament. Cameroonian youth teams failing and falling everywhere. Were you surprised that he was re-elected by such a landslide margin, 85 from 87 votes?
Yeah, good evening, and it's a pleasure being there talking about football. To answer your question directly, to go into it, I wasn't surprised that he was re-elected as president of the Cameroon Football Federation, because we are in Cameroon and we are on the ground and we see what's going on. The mechanism which was put in place was actually for the fact that he was going to go unopposed as the president, the president of the Football Federation. So one, it wasn't a surprise. We already knew that he was going to be elected as president. So I think for that, all Cameroonians knew that he was going to be elected as president.
But tell us about this struggle between the Minister of Sports, Narcisse Samuel Kombi, and also, Samuel Eto'o himself, this struggle for power. There's the new coach, David Pagou, who is in the camp of Samuel Eto'o. There's also Marc Brys, who is being employed by Kombi as well. Also, there's Jeremy Njitap, who we hear was removed from the electoral process, so not to challenge Samuel Eto'o as well. What is this political intrigue going on?
I always say Cameroon and Nigeria are brothers. They're brothers of the same mother, but different fathers, because those things are always similar. They are similar to Nigeria as they are similar to Cameroon. And we know the political atmosphere of Africa. The federation presidents are always want, the government always wants to have a hand in terms of the activities of the federation, because in a sort of way, they also finance the federation. And those political issues have been existing in Cameroon for the past decades. Those political issues have been existing from when our former FA boss, that is Iya Mohammed, was sent to jail, that is in 2013, right up to date. We are still facing these challenges of the government always wanting to have a hand, to have a say in the affairs of the federation. And gradually it has been deteriorating right up to this moment where we actually see an open fight. It's true the government employed Marc Brys, but that's not the first time we have seen the government employing a coach for the national team of Cameroon. It's not the second time, it's not the third time. That has always happened with the government. But maybe the other presidents have been tolerant with the government and have accepted it. But this time around, it was a big headache, because maybe the federation president had his own choice he had to make. But the government went ahead to employ Marc Brys, which has actually from the date of his employment till the date where he was asked to give away the national team, it has been a tug of war, and it has also been a lot of hell for Marc Brys as the head coach of the Cameroon national team. So those political issues have always been there, but maybe the other FA bosses have been tolerant with the government and accept what the government has been doing, but maybe this time around, the FA boss is not tolerant with the government and doesn't accept what the government is doing.
Okay.
So I think that is where we have the difference.
Okay.
All right, Ivan, thank you very much for joining us. You've talked about what is happening right now between the sports ministry and the federation. Now, when you look at the critical issue, surrounding Eto'o and the ministry, Eto'o was recently re-elected as president of the Cameroon Football Federation. It means one thing, that there's something he's doing right in the Football Federation that has maybe ensured that he gets re-elected despite other forces around him. Now, FIFA also do not allow government interference in football, even though we know that in some countries in Africa, you can't take away government money from the federation. And in the past, it has happened, but they've been finding a way to, work with the sports ministry. But Eto'o has decided not to do that because he feels he should be calling the shot. How can we have a situation whereby both parties come to the table and say, let's solve these issues? We can't be having, two lists. We can't be having two budgets. We can't be having, two coaches or two captains. How can we solve these issues, surrounding the FECA foods in Cameroon?
Okay, first of all, what I want to say is we don't have two lists. We have one list. The other list, which was submitted by Marc Brys, was just social media issues which they made up and sent into the social media. So we have one list which was submitted by the newly appointed coach. That is Pagou. This list that is taken into consideration. There was a meeting at the ministry yesterday where we had the first vice president of the federation who was present, and the minister made it clear during the meeting that FECA Food has today to submit the final list of players who are going to take part in the AFCON, and also to present the various budgets which they are going to be requiring for the ministry to see how they can table this budget onto the government to be given. And I have on
good authority,
on confirmed messages that today the government has signed up to about 5 billion francs CFA. I think that could be maybe close to about let's say about $3.5 billion has been approved for the preparation for Cameroon, for the Indomitable Lions for AFCON. So you see, these things at times, I believe they are a sort of distraction to the Cameroonian public, where the government has certain agenda they want to go through. We just lost a prominent political figure in Cameroon, which was actually going to cause an uproar in Cameroon because he actually died in jail, he actually died in detention. So that was going to cause a big news in Cameroon, and it was going to cause some riots in Cameroon. So you see, now they come into the aspect of football because they know Cameroonians love football a lot, and they use it now as a sort of distraction. And the death of Anise Kane, who was a prominent opposition member in Cameroon, has just been swept under the carpet. And no Cameroonian is talking about it because everybody is concentrated in the firing of Marc Brys. Everybody has gone to the firing of Marc Brys. And the ministry has not said a word concerning the firing of Marc Brys. So you see, that is where I personally, I think those things are being used as a distraction. And the minister holds a meeting. He doesn't talk about the firing of Marc Brys. He goes ahead to talk about the plan of action for the Indomitable Lions to take part in the 2025 AFCON. So you see, those are things which are not being addressed by the minister, while the whole nation was waiting for the minister to address the dismissal of Marc Brys by the FECA footballs. But you see, the minister didn't do that. Now, the Cameroonians were interested in that, and everybody was focused on that. So I believe the government knows what they are doing, and they use football in Cameroon
to distract,
as a sort of distraction. Yes, to distract the civilians' attentions from certain government issues which could cause problems in the country.
Okay.
So I think that is how the government is using football.
Okay, Murum, before we go, we need to ask you this question. It's very important. I mean, you are a prominent figure in Cameroonian sports circles. Cameroon are in Group F at the Africa Cup of Nations. They face the defending champions, the Ivory Coast. They're also facing Gabon and Mozambique. Can Cameroon extricate themselves from that group? Can Cameroon win the Africa Cup of Nations?
Well, what I'm going to say concerning that, no football is won on paper.
True.
We could not believe that DRC is going to be remaining in the playoffs now when it concerns Cameroon and Nigeria. But you see Cameroon and Nigeria out, and DRC is continuing with the playoffs. So there is no football that is being won on paper. Cameroon went to 2017, and we said they went with a very mediocre team. But we see that they finally ended up in winning AFCON 2017. So this time around, even though the circumstance which they are going to the AFCON is not the best because of the internal squabbles which we have. And we see certain prominent players who have been left out of the sport, and many questions have been asked today in Cameroon. We can have Aboubakar Vincent, who is the captain of the national team, who was left out. We have
Andre Onana.
Andre Onana, who is one of the top best goalkeepers in the world, who has been left out. Who has been left out also. So you see the circumstances surrounding the team. We are asking a lot of questions, but again, it's a competition which we are going into, and we think everything is going to be decided on the field. We can't write it out that maybe Cameroon is going to be eliminated in the pool. It's a tough one. Because it's a really tough one with Gabon. We have seen the last outing of Gabon. It was really, really solid. Ivory Coast, the defending champions. But if you take the last two AFCONs, you see that all the defending champions have not crossed the group stages. So you see, it's not also something which he said Ivory Coast is going to go out of the group stage, because we see last year, we see the performance of Algeria. Sorry, in 2023, we saw the performance of Algeria.
I get that.
AFCON, we saw the performance of the defending champions.
But you said everything, Murum, you said everything. You've not answered the question. Can Cameroon win it? Will they win it? Yes or no?
I can't say Cameroon is going to win it, but we hope we can have a seat.
Okay, that's fair. Like Cameroon, like Nigeria, Cameroon football also in crisis. Nigeria football, not exactly crisis, but Eric Shell's squad list also drew up a bomb today. So it's pretty much a tale of two brothers. Murum Divine, who is the managing director of Africa Sports Management, thank you so much for joining us tonight, all the way from Yaoundé on Game On. Thank you so much for your time. Favor, let's move on. Still talk about the Africa Cup of Nations. Morocco have named the injured Achraf Hakimi